Come along, rise and shine. Come along and rise and shine. Come on and shine. Come along and ride on a light walk a journey. Light walk a journey. Yeah. Come along and ride on a light walk a journey. Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the Sunday Soul Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lisa Brewer, and I have with me a new friend, Mr. Art Giser, and he is the creator of Energetic NLP. Now, a lot of us have, of course, heard of NLP. Some of us are practitioners that are listening to this and part of the community, and we bless you and we thank you for that. What's really exciting to me is that Art has created, we'll just say a new form or a different energy or a different frequency for NLP. And I am just over the moon for him to introduce this to all of you. Thank you for being here, Art. I so appreciate you.
I'm thrilled to be here. I love your podcast. I love what you're doing in the world and your energy. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So without further ado, let's jump right in. What is Energetic NLP and how did you come to create this modality?
Well, what Energetic NLP is, so NLP, for people that haven't heard of it, is neuro-linguistic programming. And it was developed as an alternative to traditional psychology years ago, where it was people had to be in therapy for years and years and years to maybe get a deep change. And the people who started NLP went, well, but there's some therapists who get magical results. So they started videotaping them, which, by the way, that was when videotape machines were like the size of your refrigerator, maybe not that big, a mini fridge. And so it was a big deal. And they developed this whole theory, a very, very powerful theory for personal change, and both working with problems and blocks, but also acquiring new skills. And I've been an NLP trainer since 1985. I studied with all the developers, and a couple of them as my mentors. I was really blessed that way. But about the same time, I was studying in Marin County, which is just north of San Francisco. And I'd also always been interested in telepathy and energy work and healing. And there were a number of people, being near San Francisco, who were also into those kind of fields. And they started teaching me and introducing me to teachers. And I realized you could do miraculous things with NLP. You could really transform people's lives. But like anything, it had its limitations. You could do miraculous things taking spiritual approaches, energetic approaches, miraculous, but it had its limitations. But both areas had different limitations. So I started weaving them together. So I like to think of it like the parents of Energetic NLP are NLP, spiritual principles, healing and transformative energy work, psychic development, though I usually avoid that word because it's charged, clairvoyance, channeling. But Energetic NLP has grown up into its own person, which is draws upon what I think are some of the best of all of that.
That's beautiful. Here we believe, or at least I believe, I don't know if hopefully my community does this to this point, but that energy is energy, right? And when we approach that, when we approach universal life force or however you want to term it as just that, then all of these modalities become various expressions. And rather than pigeonholing, only Reiki or only astrology or only tarot or only whatever,
right,
when we can learn to not only just flow, but what I hear you saying is you've done a beautiful alchemization of all of these various energies and brought them into its own frequency, its own energetic footprint. And I think that's
exactly
beautiful.
And it's in my nature to combine things. I mean, some of my earliest memories, I don't think my parents, I'm sure they didn't know I did it. I was like 4 or 5. I'd sneak down the basement, and any paint or chemicals I could find, I'd mix them together just to see what would happen. Oh, no. And nothing ever exploded. Right?
Oh, okay.
It was things like paint thinner and paints and
okay.
cleaners. but there was just something in me that always wants to go, well, that's interesting, but what happens if you mix this? And so
Yeah.
energetic NLP is part of my my drive to like take what I think is some of the best of everything I've learned and put it together.
Yes.
And it's continually growing and evolving. I mentioned to you before we started that I don't believe anything that I teach. And what I mean by that is I make people take the energetic NLP pledge at the beginning of workshops. And the pledge is that they're not going to believe anything that I tell them, but they're going to explore everything that I tell them. My goal is always that people connect with their spiritual information, their inner wisdom, which is always better than what a teacher can do is help people open up to that.
Absolutely.
So I want people to explore what I'm saying, but not to believe it. You know, it's like,
Absolutely.
you know, I didn't come down from Mount Sinai with the tablets. You know, these are just what I think today. You know?
Well, that's beautiful empowerment, right? Because I think sometimes what happens, no matter whether you are an NLP practitioner or a counselor or a Reiki master, anything like that, right? What can happen is we get placed on this pedestal. And then there's almost, I'm going to use this term loosely so nobody get, all upset, but there can be this almost level of worship in a sense, right? And this sense of they need us to save them in some way. We're their savior, right?
Right.
And that's not what we are. And we as healers, as conduits, should not put ourselves on that pedestal. So I love the fact that you do that. Like that's so authentic and so genuine.
Well, and also I know you've studied science as I have, and in science, scientists forget this all the time. I managed a medical research lab for 11 years for the University of California, and you know, everything in science is a theory.
Yes.
And it's the best theory at the moment. And I approach spirituality and energy work the same way. So people will go, chakra is supposed to look like this and it's supposed to do this. And I think there's elements of truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at some of these chakra, it's dynamic and multidimensional. And
absolutely,
you know, and so you need simple ways to understand it. The problem to me is people start thinking the simple explanations are the absolute truth rather than they're stepping stones to something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you know the old story, the blind man and the elephant.
Where they each are touching a different portion of the elephant, and so nobody has the complete picture.
Exactly. And they get in a big fight and split up. And the point of the story is if they'd have put together like, oh, it's like a wall. No, it's like a snake. No, it's like a big leaf. You know, they'd have put it all together, they would start getting a picture of an elephant. But instead, each one thinks they've got the absolute truth.
Mm.
So I put that story in my manuals and tell people like, I'm just telling you my version of the elephant as of today. And I made up a term, beliefs du jour. It's like soup du jour. This is what I believe today.
Yes.
And that's it.
It might not be on the menu tomorrow, so you better get it while it's hot.
Actually, I never say that, but I'm going to remember it. I like that.
But
sorry, we're out of that belief. This is a new one.
There you go. I mean, and because it evolves, you know,
Totally.
I can take my life as a mother. Okay. So when I was when I was early in my, I'm so glad that children are born not needing to eat like full food, because if they had to survive what I had the capability to cook then, they'd have been dead. Okay. They would not have survived at all. So, but we evolve, right? So one might have a recipe for, I love to make lasagna. And so that's like one of my signature dishes, right? When people are like, oh, bring this, right? But my lasagna, when I was 21, just learning how to cook, oh boy. But over time it evolves. It's I could still call it lasagna, but now it's a little different. There's a few different spices. There's a few different, I might make my sauce, slowly on the stove for, 4 hours rather than, 2 or something like that. So we have to allow ourselves to evolve as and the belief systems or the tools that we use energetically as we evolve as energetic beings having a human experience, and the levels that we can actually interact with higher dimensional frequencies.
That's really well said.
So, wow. Okay, so tell us a little. So, can we go a little more? Can go a little deeper into this? And what is it like? How does this work? What do we do here?
And by the way, the reason I developed it, I was incredibly stuck in my life for years.
Okay.
And this is how I got myself unstuck, more than unstuck, where I mean, I love what I do now. I mean, I'm old enough I could retire and stuff, but I don't want to.
Yes.
I feel like I'm scratching the surface. But a couple of concepts that are really unique to energetic NLP. So a beliefs du jour is probably one of them. When I work with people, they always put their spirit and their deep inner human wisdom in charge. So I'm not in charge of what happens energetically. My job is to bring in the energies, which, by the way, anybody can learn to do. There's this myth out there that only a few special people can do it. And yes, some of us came in very, like some people are natural athletes, but some of the best athletes, like I was hearing Tom Brady wasn't that good for many years. He was a poor draft pick. So in the same way, anybody can learn to do energy work if they want to. I have to be honest, I forgot what point was I making. I was talking about.
So you were saying that you developed this because you got stuck.
Oh yes, because I got stuck. And some of the things that are unique about energetic NLP is this idea. We've come up with a term, we call it your miraculous self. Which your miraculous self is different than the high self. So your high self just exists. But what I discovered years ago was that people's spirits and their deep inner human wisdom often weren't communicating and collaborating. You would think they automatically would, but they don't. Certain areas of your life where things go really well, they're probably doing it, but other areas not. And people use the word spirit to mean different things. In energetic NLP, we differentiate between your individual soul and your individual spirit.
Okay.
And people use these words in opposite ways. So I apologize to somebody if I'm using it the opposite the way you think of it. What I'm calling your spirit, what we call it in energetic NLP, is the higher frequencies of your non-physical self. What I'm calling your soul are lower frequencies of your non-physical self. And I'm not saying this is some absolute truth. It's just the way, again, the way that we think of it.
Yep.
And I used to wonder when people would talk about, people's souls being damaged. I go, your soul can't be damaged. But I was thinking of what I would now call your spirit. So the vaster spirit that a person is perfect and fine and can't be damaged. But the lower non-physical frequencies, the way I observe them, they're kind of like a click above your personality. Okay. So what I'm calling your soul, it has wants, it has needs, it has fears, it has issues from other lifetimes. But when you get into higher frequencies of yourself, you literally get above all that. So to me, and again, this is just the way I see it, your spirit is sort of like the perfect parent going, whatever you want, dear. You want to have abundance? Well, that's lovely. You want to struggle? Well, that's a valid spiritual path. Go for it. Not because your spirit doesn't care, but your spirit sees so many different things as valid spiritual paths.
Right.
And so a lot of times your spirit is just going like, oh, okay, we can work with that. But it might be something that will make you very unhappy. But your deep inner human wisdom is very practical. So when your deep inner human wisdom and your spirit are closely aligned and working together, it forms what we call your miraculous self. And you can, as you develop it, it will guide you, nurture you, heal you, help you, and manifest. And so one distinct thing about energetic NLP is the first thing we do is have people create their miraculous self, which initially is really easy. It's just intention and permission. Anybody listening, if you want a miraculous self, just tell your spirit and your inner wisdom that you want that. Give 100% permission for it to happen. Now,
so I want to pause you for just 1 second, and we'll come back to creating your miraculous self. Your inner human wisdom then is you are equating that to the soul.
No, thank you for asking.
Okay.
Your inner human wisdom is more, it's hard to put it in a box, but it's more like it's sort of part of your unconscious. It's part of, you ever get a feeling there's a part of you sometimes, the old thing about there's an angel on your shoulder and a devil on your shoulder, and listen to the angel.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that is literally an external source, but inside of us, we have a wisdom.
Yes.
And we all know sometimes we just know the right things to do or not to do something.
Okay.
And what exactly it is, I'm using it very metaphorically.
Understood.
But there is a part of everybody, it's practical, but in a wise way.
Okay, so it would be, so I'm just going to try to put this into some vernacular that some folks should be familiar with.
Sure.
So your spiritual self is the highest of your highest, like that's your highest self that is eternal, that is
right.
In constant, I like to say constant communication or constant relationship with source, with the all. It's like the aspect of the all that's choosing to have an experience. Okay. All right, great. So got that big. So the inner wisdom then comes into play. I feel like it might be akin to what the information you gathered along the time through past lives, maybe, and through like your kind of like Akasha kind of scale, or is that, am I not really equating it to the right?
Well, I think it's that, and I think it's your life experiences.
Current life, yeah. Okay.
And the funny thing about it, it's easier to do than try to figure out, kind of thing. Because I don't know exactly what it is. I know that when I tell people to get their spirit and their deep inner human wisdom to come together, it forms this incredible miraculous self.
Okay,
what exactly it is,
yeah,
I'm not sure, but I think of it more like you're saying that it's a part of us that can tap into wisdom, but it's very human. It's very practical.
Yeah.
So it's like a friend of mine many, many years ago was channeling, and the being he was channeling said to all of us, you're all too concerned about money. So I said back to the being through my friend, I went, easy for you to say you don't have a body. and his response was, well, good point. So,
gotcha.
When you get really spiritual, it's easy to go, oh yeah, it's fine. And it's all spiritual and it's all growth. But the deep human wisdom is going, yeah, but down here, it's not all fine.
No, it's not. Yeah, no, it absolutely isn't. Okay, so I interrupted you. So
That's
I think so let's go a little bit further in how do we create, right? How to create the miraculous, right? The miraculous being within us. And maybe that's a quick exercise you and I can go through. Maybe we can do that. I don't know.
That'd be great. And one more big part of energetic NLP that I discovered by accident, and I'm not saying other people haven't discovered it, is I realized decades ago that my students, we're always trying to do it right and max it out. And they always had all these expectations. And the more I would just say, well, just pretend you can do it. Just imagine it, pretend it. All of a sudden their ability skyrocketed. So to develop your miraculous self right now, I want you to just pretend that your spirit and your deep inner human wisdom know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And a lot of the work I do, I call energy spas. And the reason I call them that is, if you want to go get a massage, you set your intention, you give permission, and then you relax and let them do the magic. And energetic NLP, when we're doing energy spas, it's like that. So right now, if you just pretend that part of you is talking to my spirit and knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And our conscious minds don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And just right now, if you want to, give permission for your spirit and your deep inner human wisdom, whatever that means in your system, are going to align themselves now and form what we're calling a miraculous self. It has the vast awareness of your spirit and also this very practical human wisdom, and is bringing it all together so that your life can be happier, healthier, more abundant, more meaningful, more satisfying. Yeah, that's it. And then just pretend it's happened. You've set your intention, you've given permission, and it's happened.
So you all can't see what I'm feeling, so I'm going to describe it. I literally, it felt to me as if these two energies, for one of the first times ever that I can recall, actually finally merged and fused. They've always been there, but they fused, and it is if everything just came into alignment from the top of my head all the way through my being. Like there was like a new core. Now I'm sure everybody doesn't feel it the same way, but it felt to me like it's a new core, like a new spine, if you would. If you were to get a spinal transplant,
Yes,
I guess
yes.
that's the only way I can describe it. That's how it feels.
And actually, I'm getting chills. I mean, watching your energy and feeling your energy. And for people listening, you know, Lisa's very, you know, you're very adept. So, you know, I'll tell people, whether you feel it or not, it works. You know,
Yeah.
it's wonderful that you do, and I'm so glad you're describing it. And I just want people to know, if they're trying it, you know, at home or wherever they are, that if you don't feel it, just pretend it worked. You don't need, the cool thing is you don't even have to believe it worked. Just pretend it worked and see what happens. And then the next step is just to give permission, if you want, for your miraculous self to guide you, nurture you, heal you, and help you manifest. Just give it 100% permission. Ooh, you are so good.
I don't know if people feel this. I have to just, I'm not used to just having to describe these things, so bear with me, guys. There was a little resistance to it. What do you mean? Like my third dimensional mind, for a moment, or my third dimensional self was like, we're giving up control. Are you kidding me? You know, like complete control, right?
Can I just say it's not about giving up control, it's guidance. You don't have to do what your miraculous self tells you. It's just, and you know, it's just like getting advice from a wise person. It's up to you whether you follow it or not. So you're not giving up control, you're welcoming the guidance.
Oh.
Now, you can, if you want, give up the control, but that's a further step.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's different, right? It's like,
it is. Now that resistance just went, okay, no. Okay, good.
if anybody ever saw the old, you know, Disney cartoon Pinocchio, it's like Jiminy Cricket. It's giving you good advice, and sometimes Pinocchio listens, and sometimes he doesn't. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
and can I add one other thing, particularly for you? Give your miraculous self permission, and there's no rush on this. I mean, it can take minutes, hours, weeks. It doesn't matter. Give your miraculous self permission to keep evolving beyond my limited understanding of it and your limited understanding of it. So just give it permission to keep evolving.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Amazing. So, so we do this process, yeah, but I'm sure there's much more to this than
that's the beginning.
Yeah. So, what are the ultimate benefits of energetic NLP that one could experience, in this lifetime, in this incarnation?
So, in energetic NLP, the goal is always personal and spiritual development, and doing it in a way that makes our lives better and makes the world better. And that, and I don't mean that nothing bad ever happens. That's not a human lifetime, but that you're always guided. So one goal is you're always guided and supported. No matter what's happening, you have this solid foundation under you. That's one goal. The other is, depending on the different programs, some are very practical. Like some are about, having more success in career and business. Some are about experiencing deep self-love. Some are about clearing ancestral programming, all the way up to people that want to open up their miraculous abilities to work with and read energy. So my longer programs are, my superpower is opening up other people's superpowers. So we're always clearing unconscious blocks and conscious and unconscious limiting beliefs, but we work on karma, we work on spiritual contracts, we work on ancestral programming and family programs, societal programming, and other existences and parallel realities. So depending how far people go, but the goal is always to open up more of your potential and authenticity and your ability to manifest more of that vast being that you are into this lifetime. And so some people, have very, not limited, but very, concrete goals that they want. Like maybe they feel blocked in their business or career. And other people, a lot of people study energetic NLP. They've done other kinds of spiritual and personal development work. They've gotten great results, and they're looking for what's next. How they could go even further. And then some people want to learn how to do it. So, no matter what level people do it, they're always going to be clearing karma, unconscious blocks, energetic blocks, spiritual blocks, and opening up and opening up their ability to connect with energies and use them. And again, bringing in more of the vaster being that they are.
I love that. That is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
So hopefully those of you that have been listening and or watching were able to experience some of that, for lack of a better word, you'll say it better than me, alignment and creation of your miraculous self along with me. And hopefully those of you that are listening to this or watching this now on the date that it airs will be able to join us for a live after session. This is such an important modality for people to know about and for people to engage with, to utilize in their own personal and spiritual development, or even perhaps becoming a practitioner. I think that you have something for so we can get a taste of it, right? Yes. So the community can get a taste of it. You want to talk a little bit about what we have as a gift for them?
Yes, I have something I call the Blockbuster mini course, and I'll repeat this later, but it's at Blockbuster, the number 7, Blockbuster, one word, the number 7.com. And what it is that you'll then have access to 4 videos. Each one's about 30 minutes, and it will take you through creating your miraculous self, clearing unconscious blocks, clearing other people's energy and programming out of space, activating and opening more of your chakras. So they'll get I was going to say you get a really good taste of energetic NLP, but even if you never went on to anything else in energetic NLP, it's a really life-changing mini course. He says humbly, I get a lot of wonderful feedback from people about how it really helps them in their lives. And again, it's at blockbuster7.com. It's free. And one thing that I believe in, I believe transformation, not that it has to be fun, but it can be easy and fun.
Yes.
That each one is simple. You don't have to analyze yourself. Again, you learn to put your miraculous self in charge. You relax. And even on the recordings, when you're watching the videos, if you imagine it's happening right now while you're watching it, you will access the energies. And I have theories I don't know how that works, and I know you know this too, Lisa. If you just imagine it's happening, you'll connect through time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because you begin to vibrate at that frequency of what you're visualizing or imagining, right? And when you get to this point that you understand your imagination is actually real life, like that's where we create, right? That's our construct space. If you are a Matrix fan like I am, that's it's a construct space. Yeah. So we build whatever we want to in that construct of our imagination, and then we bring it into manifestation or creation, right? So absolutely, you imagine it, the pretend, it comes to pass. It happens. You don't even realize it before it happens.
It's so phenomenal, and
It is. It is wonderful.
and
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think there's so many wonderful people. They work so hard on themselves, but they're not where they know they could be, and then they start beating themselves up, and they analyze themselves more. And analyzing ourselves is a valuable thing to do, but people in our spheres tend to do it way too much. And sometimes, again, you just put your miraculous self in charge and just trust that what happens will move you forward in life. In that, let go of how you think it should happen and I'll tell people with energy work, sometimes people go, I didn't feel the energy. And meanwhile, I'm looking at their energy field and it's shifting all around. And I'll go, it worked. As long as you give it permission, it will work whether you feel it or not, whether it's what you think is supposed to happen. Just pretend it's happening, pretend it happened, and later, you'll know if things happened or not.
Absolutely. Well, all right. This has been just life-changing and incredible. And wow, I'm just so glad we had this opportunity to spend time together. We're going to have all of these links down in the show notes for those of you listening on the podcast. We'll have them in the descriptions and the captions for those that are watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or listening on Instagram. But can you let us know where we can find you and how we can get in touch with you for an energetic NLP, maybe spa day or spa program, or if you want to even become a practitioner.
Oh, well, thank you. Beautiful cat. And
thank you. Yeah, Gemini. It's not a broadcast without Gemini.
Cats are so great with energy. What a beautiful cat. Yeah. So easiest way to find me is www.energeticnlp, like Nancy Larry Peter.com. So energeticnlp.com, or you can find me. There's an Energetic NLP page on Facebook and LinkedIn. And
lovely.
If you can remember how my name is spelled, it's Art, Z-A-R-T, and then Giser, Giser. There's only a couple of us that I know of on the planet. So if you go on Facebook or anywhere, or just Google Art Giser or Energetic NLP, you'll find me. So, and I have to say, you were such a great interviewer. Don't tell anybody else. This is my favorite interview ever. So
thank you. Thank you so much.
Don't tell the other podcasters.
I won't tell anybody. It's our little secret.
And I do want to encourage people that I really love what Lisa's doing in the world. Please let other people know about this podcast. And, so many people, we get benefit out of podcasts and different programs, but we don't tell other people. So tell other people.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Art.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Well, on that note, guys, we are going to sign off here. It has been fabulous. Please do go check out blockbuster7.com. Blockbuster, like Blockbuster Video, for those of us that are of a certain age and remember that. Blockbuster and the number 7.com. energeticnlp.com. And please do reach out and work with Art. This is fabulous.
Thank you. An honor to be on your program. I so enjoyed it.
It was an honor to have you. Thank you so much. And to everyone, peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. We love you guys so much. Guys, have a great one. Bye-bye.